Are we crushing our weight loss goals? You bet. You bet. You guys, so welcome. So I'm Amanda Rose, founder of Eat Like a Bear. We are a weight loss community, mostly older women, but I welcome everyone who stumbles upon this and finds us here today. But our topic today would be of interest, I think, to anybody, but you can see how it's very much colored by our demographic. And so that is, we need to fight for it, to fight for our goals. If you have been struggling to kind of dig in and get going, because it's hard. It's hard to get in and get going, that this is your sign and this is your day. Okay. So I want to give you guys a little comparison to just sit in and think about just a little bit. So I weighed 280 pounds. That was my high weight back in 2017. And I lost 140 pounds. And so by the summer of 2018, I was 140 pounds. And interestingly, at my high weight, I had some brewing metabolic issues, let's call them. And so I had elevated blood pressure. It wasn't quite like at medication levels, but it was close. And I had to watch it in order to make sure I didn't need medication. And I had, things like an elevated heart rate and just some of those typical things that you see when you weigh nearly 300 pounds. And then you lose 140 pounds. And losing 140 pounds was essentially a complete cure for all of that. And so my blood pressure, just as an example, went from about, it tended to be like 135 to 140 over 90 to 95, something like that. And then even up to a year ago, it got back down to like teenage levels, like 110 over 70, that 110 over 65, something like that, just from the weight loss. The weight loss was a complete cure, nearly. I mean, just about for all of these like growing metabolic things that were happening in my body. Now that's kind of amazing when you think about the medical impact you can have by losing weight. It's truly extraordinary. And I'm appreciating it more today, more than ever. And I've been reflecting and thinking about it because, in fact, I see some of those elevated numbers again. So if you haven't been following me, I had a head injury a year ago. And so I was, I hate to even say how it happened. I was out living my best life, you guys. I truly was. And I was trampled on a game show set. So, and with head injuries, sometimes you just recover. And just like you need a little time, that kind of thing. And it can be kind of straightforward if you give it the time, but sometimes it has like metabolic entanglement, let's call it. And there's like a cascading effect of the head injury across like potentially multiple body symptoms or body systems, including your cognition and word choice. So if you hear me saying stupid things, that's the head injury. Okay. So the thing is that currently I monitor my sleep and I use my Apple Watch for that. And it also takes a lot of other measures, which I hadn't even really been paying attention to. But since the data's there, I've been looking at it and reflecting on this point that a lot of these like cardiac measures that the watch takes are what they were when I was 280 pounds. And so, and I'm up a bit, but I'm not 280 pounds. But the effect of the head injury is like weighing 300 pounds. You see what I mean? Like, so my blood pressure is where it used to be when I was nearly 300 pounds. My resting heart rate is in that level of like, it's higher than what I would consider for me to be a normal, healthy level. It's like all of these measures, my blood oxygen is lower. That's when you would want a high number, 99%. Mine is overnight, like when I'm sleeping, it's 90. I'm about to have a sleep study this very night. And so these numbers are off and very much like at least the ones I was tracking when I was 300 pounds, 280 pounds, they're very similar to that. And so it's interesting, an interesting point that the weight itself, we know, has these negative metabolic effects. That is why, obesity is associated with so many conditions, and that the cure for those conditions is losing the weight. And as I currently struggle to, with my current situation, I'm still going through tests and like the sleep study tonight. We're trying to figure out like what is like that underlying lever that there might be one key thing that, like, if we can change it, maybe it has this little effect across all of my systems. Um, which very much is kind of how the weight loss happened. Like, lose the weight, and then there's like a trickle effect. All right. So here's my point. So it's it's a lot flipping harder when you don't even know what the cause of the things is, right? But if you're 300, 400 pounds or whatever, you know what a key cause is, and it's those 300 pounds or whatever. And if you can lose even some, you're going to be able to affect your whole system, like all of it. Because as we get older, the problem becomes that they start stacking up, right? So that like I could have been kicked in the head at 300 pounds, so then I have the weight, but then I have the other effects, and then it gets more complicated. Things get slower. And so then you're faced with also like the metabolic things from other causes plus the weight loss. Now, so in these situations, guys, whatever it is, it all gets complicated. There's really only one path, and that is to try to get some fat off. Okay. So, and it may be slow. Like you can have, depending on the metabolic stuff or whatever that's going on, you could be you will be slower than you want to be, because that's just a universal principle, because we always want to go faster. But you could be, like one of the slow pokes of this community. And then that is what it is also. Okay, so um and I'm currently in that situation. So I don't, like, in the deep den we do these weekly weigh-ins, and like we started them because I need them myself. And I've been gaining. Now I've gained such a outrageous amount some of these weeks. It's clearly like water retention. And so I'm not getting all concerned about it. But it also is very clear to me that if I want to lose at all, I need to tighten up even more. And so that is something that could cause me to like go into a downward spiral of depression or whatever, like shame or something like that. The reality is, these are the cards that I have to play right now, and my only option is tighten up if I want to. Well, and we'll see. Just tighten up mean that I won't gain, or does it mean I will lose a little? And at some point, things are going to get corrected and I'll be doing better, and then I'll lose like what I used to lose a year ago or whatever. So lose at those rates. But my only play is, given as I look at the landscape, is to tighten up. And so, guys, that may be your play too. And it's complicated, but there's nothing else. There's nothing else. And I know we have a lot of community members going through mobility issues. And so, like, talk about metabolic issues. Um, and you could have mobility things stacked on that too. And we got to fight for that. And losing pounds absolutely helps with mobility as well. And so, as we all get a little bit older, all of these things get more complicated. The consequences of being kicked in the head, or any kind of what might have been a minor injury when you're 20, extremely minor injury, becomes more of a life-changing injury. And so the way that we're going to guard against that is by losing some weight. Okay. And staying, just trying to stay as fit and healthy as we can. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. And that's what I'm doing. So my son just graduated from college. I went to the graduation. I felt like I was probably 20 to 30 years older than I am in terms of being up there and being involved. But I was able to go, and I got through, and I'm back now. And so I'm turning my attention to this issue of it tightening things up. And that's what I'm doing. Now, in terms of how but I don't post about it a lot. So I'll come here on these lives. But the fact is, I'm very focused on my daily of what I'm doing, and I'll give a full report at the end. But anyway, I've now totally lost my train of thought, which again, so I need to get better so I can improve my cognition so I can do a live video. Okay, but y'all are losing weight. That's my point. It's time. That's my point. Okay, let me look at comments. Phew. I just took some Advil too, so that's good. Sometimes Advil even helps. Yeah, Barbara, mobility issues. Yep. And so Barbara has been fighting, has been in and working on it. And I think, a lot of people are in that situation, Barbara, of that, it's complicated and difficult, isn't it? But Barbara, you're worth it. You're worth it, and it's worth it to just you got to keep trying, because that's kind of all we got. It is. And just work on tomorrow being a little bit easier than today, and that is what we got. Yep. So for me, in terms of tightening up and being strict, I'm really getting my head around, like, what if, because I'm completely, like, I have no expectations for anything else in my life. I'm completely on my health recovery. And what if I approach it with, like, the discipline and focus of, like, an Olympic athlete training or something? As I've thought about that, because I'd like to do that. And the problem operationally is I'm not going to be in the Olympics. Like, it's not a real goal, but how do I embody that in some way? Like a performance athlete who's being super, super serious. And that's where I want to be. So I'm kind of working up for it. Because in 2017, I think I was very diligent and very strict, and leaning towards that, like, diligent athlete, but I didn't have the exercise component that I think I need this time. I got out, I was active, but nothing like I think I need to go out and crush it and, like, really work on cardio and getting my cardio in better shape than I've maybe ever been in. The problem is that I'm starting from, like, a worse condition than I've ever been in. So anyway, it's complicated. And as Michelle says, yes, day by day, and we will all get there. And yes, Barbara is worth it. And so I'm glad you typed that, Barbara, and wrote that out, because absolutely you are. And your own brain and heart hears it, and when you type it, you guys type things. Type some, you guys tell us that if you're getting going, what you're doing, like, type it, or type your intentions here in the comments. Okay. Okay. Teresa says, I sometimes struggle with the fact that weight loss needs to be my most important thing when there are so many other important things. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, Teresa, because Teresa's juggling a family and a career. And I need to think more about it. Like, I feel like I'm having a cognitive lapse. And Teresa's backstage. Okay. So we're going to bring Teresa on. And Brenda, who's also backstage, has added exercise to her daily routine. So, over the years with Eat Like a Bear, I've said, like, that's 95% about food, and it is. But in terms of, like, our future mobility, in terms of maintenance being a little bit easier, if you have more muscle mass, you can eat more, you can burn more calories, and that muscle mass protects you from injury. So I think exercise is in our long game for sure. Absolutely. And for me right now, it's in my short game too. Yeah. Okay. Um, B. I'm doing awesome, but also realize it's a thin, thin line between success and regression. Isn't that the truth? Like, that one little thing, like that one little moment causes, like, shifts you on another path. And so everyone here needs to be aware of those moments and like realizing, oh, that thing that because like I ate something on the trip. I mean, of course, whatever, but I didn't continue it because that's me having learned and being like more mature or whatever. And it takes that learning and that recognizing, because maybe it would take someone 7 times of doing that thing before they're like, whoa, stop. And the next time maybe it takes 5. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So, okay. And Jackie is saying, I don't feel like weight loss is the most important thing. I feel it is part of basic self-care. But I know what Teresa, yeah, but okay. And Anna says our health is the foundation for everything else. When we optimize it for wherever we are now, it improves everything else. That is also the truth. You will see the effect on everything. But I do appreciate that being caught up, and how do you organize things enough to make it enough of a focus so that you can get the results so that it can begin to impact everything else. You know what? We got Teresa. Let's bring up Teresa. And here we go. And let's see.
Hello.
Good morning, Teresa. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, the idea of the most important thing, it's so true what Jackie said and everybody, but it's just there's sometimes where I feel like, I've got to get this done, something I've been trying to do my whole life, right? It's about time I got it done. But I need to get it done, and therefore it needs to be the most important thing. But yet, I can't focus on that only because I got to take care of everything else in my life. However, the eat like a bear way of eating that I've been doing makes it simpler. So I don't have to focus on it. It's not like 10 years ago when I did the South Beach diet and I had to think about 3 meals and 3 snacks and what am I going to eat at each of these meals and snacks. I mean, I remember all day long it being a thing, and it doesn't have to be an all day long thing anymore. Because it's just one meal. So it's helpful. I just still feel like it's at the forefront and it needs to be my most important thing. But I mean, this is an example, right? I'm sitting here on a live and I'm hearing pings from my work email. So something's going on, but it's technically my lunch hour, so it's okay. But I still feel like I should be focused on work and not focused on this. But this also helps me. So it's a line. Somebody just posted that. It's like a thin line, I feel like, when I'm on one side or the other. Now, on the plus side, yesterday was day 25 of the 100-day challenge that I decided for myself to do, and 25 good days. So that's good. So I'm doing okay.
That's amazing. Well, so, because what I've done back here this time and what I did in 2017 is I very literally cleared the slate completely and made it my number one focus, which I think is like, that's ideal, obviously. Like, whoa, that's amazing. And but even now, like it's even having had that past success and doing it now, it's tough. It's really tough. There's always things competing for our time, and especially as parents, and I mean a career, but then having kids and stuff like that. So now I wonder if you, like, just like you said, like the pinging, if you might start looking at some of the key things structurally in your day that might be kind of taking away from the energy that you could be putting into this, and then maybe just restructure a little bit. And just on the idea of, what if you're not always constantly available in those chats with your work, and have time set aside so that you can really, like, say you had like a meditation hour or something, that you would really respect that. And so I think that's one way to look at it and to chip away at the different things. It's what I'm doing with the sleep, because sleep is my focus, in terms of the data that I'm tracking. And I really do look at like all the little minuscule things that might be affecting that metric. And then I try to figure
Yeah.
out a solution. So I think like the iterative approach to structuring your life to get more focused on health, because here's the reality, you guys, this is what we need to do for the rest of our lives. And so I know that in a way that message kind of sucks because we all are just hoping that like this the well, it's like with the popularity of the GLP-1s. I feel like people are going to wake up someday and say, yeah, that was slick how quick I lost weight, but damn, I still have to I still have to actually take care of my health or whatever. That at the end of the day, the structures that caused us to gain weight are not good for us. And so, and the very obvious evidence is the weight, but there's probably other things too that just aren't as obvious. And so all those things need to change, and we need to just work on changing them and creating a better life for ourselves. And this isn't like a terrible life, like, oh no, it's going to be so sad and austere because we can't eat that thing or whatever it is. This is like, no, we're doing more of the things that we need to do to have like that full life, full, rich, long life. And so I think maybe that's your stage, Teresa, is like chipping away.
Yeah, I think so. And it's funny that you say that, the last comment that you made, because I often, I mean, not daily, but pretty close to daily, will think about, okay, what would I be doing right now if I was done losing weight and I was in maintenance? What would then Teresa be doing today? And, I'm in the pool and I'm doing my pool workout, and I think I would still be doing this because I like this. And I would still mostly be eating probably one meal a day because I just like the way that works for me. And so I try to visualize that, what would I be doing when I'm done? And keep in mind that it's not much different because I need to do it the rest of my life. Otherwise, there was an old saying, if you do the things you used to do, you'll get the results you used to get, which means if I go back to eating the way I did, I'm going to not stay weighing whatever I end up weighing when I get done with this process.
So I really like what you're describing as your process of looking to the future of like the things you're going to keep. And that is the way to bridge into maintenance right there, is that because we all need a bridge. And I think that most approaches don't provide a bridge and it's partly because of our own minds. Like we're just hoping it's over and like now we're skinny, and the problem is solved. But yeah, I really like that. And you're finding the things that like, because I assume if you did an exercise, like I don't like to run. And so unless somehow that changes, I'm not integrating that, and I'm not imagining my future self running because I can't imagine it. And so I do the hiking and I imagine my future self hiking. Well, duh, you know. But it's important to do that and to do it actively and like mindfully so that we know that is where we're going, and that we're integrating these things, we're picking these things up because they work for us and because they're allowing us to live our best lives. Plain and simple. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Hmm.
talk a lot about going to the pool. I post a lot about going to the pool, but I completely agree with what you said earlier that it's 95% the food. I mean, the exercise is good for my heart, it's good for building muscle. Those are all factors that are going to help with everything too, but it's so much just the food intake first before I even got to that exercise point. I mean, I lost most of my weight without exercising. So,
Absolutely. And anyone who feels like they can't get out, that is, there you go. You can lose a lot of weight. The thing is, what Teresa has with the swimming, that's really the key with this is, I would agree, like the swimming isn't about the number of pounds you've lost, but it is about maintaining. It is about, it's the go be awesome part. It's like you eat and you draw the boundary on it and you go live a rich life. And for Teresa, a part of that is swimming. Well, it turns out that swimming is also going to help Teresa with mobility and with, you know, relaxation. I used to do this kind of meditative swimming here at the resort. This resort has been closed now for 2 years, and it's, I think, opening in about a year. And I'll be back meditative swimming again. And so there's a lot you can do out there in the pool that is very enriching. But yeah, it's not going to burn like a lot of calories or whatever. But see, we're not so focused here on calorie like burning, maximizing as much as like our happiness. Okay. So I love the swimming for that. I really, really love the swimming for that. For all of it. There's a lot in swimming. We should all swim. We should all swim. And I was talking on Facebook, I think, like talking about open water swimming. I'm aspiring to be like a avid open water swimmer. My problem is there's no lake right here. So I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. But that totally freaked out Georgia. So we should bring up Georgia. And yes, okay, we're going to bring up Georgia. And actually, let's bring up, going to bring up everybody. And Brenda and Anna. And yeah, Georgia's like, nope, nope.
Me either. I'm not going to open water swim. I'm going to swim in a nice pool inside.
Where I can see the
Maybe
bottom and where there's no
Yeah.
monsters me that are going to eat my legs off.
I imagine those in a pool. So yeah, I'm better off not in open water.
But see, and it's okay because Anna can find other things, and
Yeah.
and no one has to be in a lake, and
Yeah.
you know, it's all good. Like we all have to find our thing, whatever
Right.
it is,
Right.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we have
And
to be
Florida,
willing
all
to
of our lakes
change.
have alligators, so
Oh, no. No. But the other thing is we have to be able to pivot too, because I was finding that everything in my world was better when I was having some longer walks or several longer walks or even several short walks. And then all of the allergies just got so out of control. I could not do that. And I've noticed a difference. I've noticed a difference in so many things. I mean, it affects everything for me. It affects my blood sugar, it affects my weight loss, it affects my mental health. So have to figure out other things to do when that happens. And I mean, I can do them, but if I don't have them in my back pocket ready, it's hard to do that while you're sneezing and taking extra allergy medicine and everything. You already have to know, okay, when I can't be outside, I'm going to be doing this, and this at home. And I just have not been back to the gym lately. And that's what I'm getting ready to do. You heard it here. I'm going to shave my legs and I'm going to go sit in the sauna. I just don't want to have anybody staring at me like a gorilla. So
Remember your sauna day. I remember those, and you really enjoyed them.
And it made a difference in more than one part of my life. So,
But I want to like shout out on what Anna's saying about pivoting, and she's saying she now needs to find some other things. But all of us, like, this is what Anna is saying, like, we need to pivot. That's the thing. Like, that's the resilience factor right there, is Anna even recognizing what she just said. That is that she just said, I had this thing that was working and I was in a groove, but then like this external thing came in, the allergies. And so well, she knows now. She's expressed here like it's good. There's like a transition, you know, and she's recognizing this was so good for me, but now I can't do it, and so I'm going to do something else. And that is so obvious when someone says it, but for the person who's going through that allergy thing or whatever it is not obvious, because it is so easy to get caught up in the despair of allergies or whatever it is. And because we get caught in the routine, which routines are good. Okay. But in that, like, wow, it's going really well. And then it's not going well. And good for anyone who has a routine that's going well. I mean, that's beautiful. Keep doing it. But we have to be ready to change, especially when these outside things come, or things inside, like it could be us. We could be the one changing, but we always want to be adapting and be ready. And this is why Anna's saying, like, having the things in your pocket so that when you say, oh my God, what am I going to do? You'll have some ideas and then generate new ones and try things and just get out and don't give up, you guys.
No. Don't give up. Because I mean, when we're working on these things and we're building, I mean, we're talking about, you know, what our foundation is and everything. If you just start doing nothing, everything's going to crumble. I mean, if it doesn't crumble, it's going to be affected.
I know a good example. Brenda was saying that her grandson is her new trainer. And she was doing lifts with weights, and she was doing 5 pounds, and it was like, ooh. And so she went back to her smaller, but then she built back up to her big ones again. And, you know, even if you're all of a sudden you're down in your back, so you can't do your regular routine of exercises. You sit in the chair and you do what you can in the chair, so you're putting less stress on your back, but you're still being active. You've got to be able to adjust, as they say, adjust your sails.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
want to say that in the beginning, I was 400 pounds, so I wasn't doing any exercising, guys. I was barely making it to the bathroom in time. And the weight came off, not with exercising. It came off with the 1 meal a day, dieting, the fasting, the things that I did to get to that point. But now I'm at a point in my life, I'm going to be 61 years old in 3 days. And it's like, I'm getting old. I need to have the exercises necessary to keep the mobility so I don't end up in a nursing home with somebody wiping my butt. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've hit a new level in my life where my focus is not getting skinny, because that was never really my focus. I mean, my goal weight is 199. I'm not going for the skinny look. I like the slimmer grandma look. But the other thing is that my focus has been more on how am I going to age and how am I going to age strongly. And so the weight loss is still in there, but the focus is more on, because I got a vibration table that I use now that has made a big difference in my knees and in my swelling. My water retention in my legs has gone down quite a bit. But then there's also, I do sit to stands. Now, before I got sick, before the 5th COVID in a row, I was doing 200 sit to stands in physical therapy. After a whole year of being sick and having the energy of a sedated slug, I got back to where I was doing, like, I started out with 20, and then I went to 50, and now I'm almost back up to the 200. But it's like, it's very depressing when you go from curling 20-pound weights to having to use 3-pound weights. It's like you got to reassess and you got to do things. But I think that we all come away from this journey by taking lots of side trips. Like this side trip took me into being sick, and then I realized I got to work on my strength. And then another side trip was when I started falling all the time because I lost my sense of where I was in the universe. And that's led me to physical therapy, which led me to doing exercises I did not even imagine in my head that I could accomplish. But I had my sadistic Nicholas, who was wonderful, and I love him very much, who pushed me until I proved myself that I could do these things. And then I could get a new viewpoint, because I had to get out of the 400-pound brain and into the 250-pound brain. And I think that anybody on this weight loss journey is going to find that at some point in your journey, it's going to switch to something more important, like being and mowing the yard, being out with the grandchildren, doing things that have nothing to do with how you look in jeans, but how you're going to function properly as you age, so that you keep your independence, you keep your ability to be mobile. That's like everybody's mentioning, it's like we're changing our focus from how we look to how we function. So I think that a lot of us old timers are becoming people who want to function in life in a way that our eating and our exercise and everything that we're doing creates an independent, functional human being who ages with grace and strength, instead of a weak person who's going to need a nursing home care. That's my biggest fear in the universe, is having to not be able to take care of myself and not being able to, age with grace.
Well, and so as a very little example on aging and mobility, and there are programs that help older people keep their mobility, that do things like, it's this simple, like they work on the strength of, like, your grip strength, so that you can grab the rail and not fall. And my point in this is, imagine you're 80 and you're doing like you're working on your grip strength so that you can grab the rail and not fall, and that's your goal. Don't you also wish you were down 100 pounds? You know what I mean? Like that's such a small thing. Like from the perspective of us right now in our age demographic, that's like a small thing to be fighting for right there. But that might be like the main thing. And if and the perspective of that extra 100 pounds, if you're just trying to have the strength to grab the rail to not fall, and the added problem of falling with the extra pounds, like the extra injury that comes from falling with extra pounds. And so the point is, there's no time like the present.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. And it all works together too, because if you're working on your health and you're overweight, you're probably going to lose some weight. And if you are working on your weight, if you're doing it in a healthy way, you're probably going to have better health. And I mean, that's what's happened to us. So
yeah, absolutely.
mhm.
I mean, I'm amazed at what the weight loss did for me. I mean,
Yeah.
it's obvious, and yet kind of feels like a miracle and everything too, and just
Yeah.
tremendous. So, and I appreciate it now more that I'm kind of facing it again through a
Yeah.
different lens. It's interesting.
I will say that all of the hormones work together. So as you know, we've been going on about 8 years now, almost. So we're 8 years older, and you had a big hormone shift when you're injured. We've all had a slow hormone shift as we age. Um, this is pivoting, just being alive. Equilibrium. We have to keep kind of changing some things around.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to say, though, if you're thinking about strengthening to hold on, holding up 100 pounds, 150 pounds is a whole lot easier than holding up 350 pounds. And
Yeah.
so the weight loss is integral to being able to take care of yourself, because just getting up off the floor is harder at a bigger weight.
Yeah.
And just lifting yourself up with your hands is harder at a bigger weight. So, it's all around. Everything is integrated.
Yeah.
You got to lose the weight, because just having strength, if you're trying to pull up 400 pounds or 300 pounds, wow, you're going to need a lot of strength. And we don't get that kind of muscle strength in old age usually.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
When you're grabbing when you grab onto the rail, it's a lot easier to keep that 250 pounds from falling than it is that 350 pounds from falling with this hand holding on to the rail. So
Yeah.
it
True.
all
Very
works
true.
together.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just wanted to say, as I've been aging and everything, and I'm pretty sure menopause, I've noticed that it is a little harder. It's different. I used to be able to do this or that, and now I have to fast a little longer, or I really have to be more careful with certain things that I eat. And my doctor was very surprised, because she didn't see, my A1C had been going up, and I saw her like a month later, and she's like, your A1C shouldn't change that much in a month. But it had gone down quite a bit. She's like, you're not even on any medicine. I'm like, no, I'm not. But I don't have more than one meal a day. And the meal I have has lots of veggies, and it has good protein, and it's working. She was really surprised. I experimented after that. I was like, well, let's see, if I add just metformin, how that will do. And I will tell you that the eating and the fasting works better and faster than the metformin. I don't think it's a bad idea to combine them if that's what your doctor, wants you to try. But it by itself, it comes nowhere near eating and fasting. And when we change our insulin levels, that's what I was going to try to say before. When we change our insulin levels by not eating all the time and by eating the right foods and not too much, all of those other things can change very quickly. Blood pressure can go down before you lose the weight. The blood sugar can go down before you lose very much weight. The swelling can go down before you lose very much weight. So it's worth it to start like right now if you haven't started, or to restart if you kind of been slipping down. And just changing a few things can make a very big difference.
Bless you.
Preach.
I'll say that even at the really heavy weight, by eating the 1 meal a day salad, my need for insulin went
Yeah.
right off the cliff, right off the cliff.
Mhm.
It was within a matter of days, not weeks, not months, but days, that by eliminating the breads and the pastas out of my diet, because I didn't do sugar. I did bread and pastas because I've never liked sugary anything, because I grew up with a type 1 diabetic. So we didn't do that in my childhood. So it was like easy for that part. But I never correlated the fact that the breads and the pastas were sugar. They actually are sugar. And my gut, it went, phew, I mean, so fast
Yeah.
that I had to go in and recalculate everything for my insulin, because I'm not going to need 2 doses of 97 units when I'm only eating salad once a day.
Mhm.
And it was like, it wasn't a slow general decline. It was a very fast, very serious decline, because what I was eating wasn't doing anything to my sugar.
Yeah. All right.
So it's like,
Powerful.
why would I go back to breads and pastas when I know I'm going to have to go back to massive doses of insulin? For me, that's a very severe thing. And the repercussions of that would be my liver, my heart, a lot of the vital organs would be damaged by the excess insulin in my system, because my A1Cs were beautiful because I took so much insulin. My A1Cs were in the 5.4 range, but that's a false A1C because you're medicating it down to there. Whereas when you're off of insulin and you're getting down there, then that's like amazing,
Okay. So with the minutes that we have left, let's do this. So because Michelle says the food intake is a hard one for sure. Once I get that under control, then I think I can get better at reaching my goal. And so we all know, right, that like, we're all doing pretty well, but to really lose or whatever requires this, and getting strict and having that consistency. And
Mhm.
that can be hard. And just like getting in the groove, like being in the zone, all of that. So I wonder, we'll do a quick little roundtable and your best advice for how to get super strict and in the zone. And your own ears can, like your own mind can be the first audience for this. Because what I'd like to do is then like everyone think about this and work on getting super strict this sometime in the next week. And we'll come back and report in a week from now, like how strict are we getting and what did we do? So who wants to go first with advice on how to get super, like some tool or whatever? Oh, like Teresa's screen just went off, like Teresa's going to go hide.
No, I was trying to unmute and I stopped my camera instead. So sorry about that.
Well, Teresa, what advice do you have for people who are just struggling with that getting strict part?
Well, and this partly depends on if you're going to do the 1 meal a day like I have done, because of course people have to modify for what they need. But what has worked for me very well is 1 meal a day within about an hour, 2 hours tops. And so what helps me when I'm trying to be strict, because the thing that I do is I let my window get loosey goosey, and I think, oh, I'm going to have some olives at 3 o'clock, and then I have some cheese at 4, and I'm not supposed to really eat till 5, and then I have something else at 7, and all of a sudden my 1 hour window has become 5. And I'm not going to gain a bunch of weight if that's the case, but I just know I lose better if I bring it in. So what I tell myself is, when I'm being really strict, I eat between 5 and 6. So if I go in the kitchen to get some coffee and I think, "Ooh, I should have this," I, look at myself in the mirror that's not there and say, "Is it 5?" It's not. So I can't eat. Same thing later. Is it after 6? Yep, kitchen is closed. I mean, that's the way I have to kitchen is only open during that window.
Yeah. I think being mindful of that in those moments and just having that rule, and you can't ever break it, right? I mean, Teresa, like if you broke that, it's over. I mean, it would be for me. Like then,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean, I
okay.
probably won't eat things I shouldn't eat because I don't really have that much in the house. But if I really restrict myself to the time period, then it's way harder to even eat anything because you don't have enough time to eat extra stuff when you're trying to get in what you're going to eat. So yeah, that's my best tip.
Yeah, yeah, and for sure that like a more narrow window, you're not going to eat as much as in a wider window. Period. Even if it's all broccoli, like all you're eating all day long is broccoli, and if you only eat broccoli in an hour and a half, you're eating less broccoli. It's just basic. So, okay, cool rules. So Teresa, I think, has rules in place that try to keep this window down, and Teresa has recognized the value of that window for, and that for me too. Absolutely. Okay, cool. So enforce rules. So people need to like work on the rules and enforce them, and don't let like day one, you like those rules are your number one thing. Like I feel like there would be nothing else in day one except keeping those rules to try to get, and day two to try to get that momentum going. And yeah, cool. So, okay. So who else?
I got one tip. Whatever decision or choice you're going to make, stop and figure out where that choice is taking you ultimately. And, a bite of this might have more, that might have me like have a health problem that's worse or whatever. Like really like follow it down and then like, it's not worth that.
Absolutely. And I've already forgotten, but I think anyone in the deep den, there's content on this too, which is that it's so easy to tell yourself to like game yourself to say like, oh, it's a half a cookie and a half a cookie only has 50 calories, or, oh, it's a third of a cookie. And I can even call it fasting because it doesn't have enough calories to count as a meal or whatever. And then
yourself.
but okay, except is it the path that led you to then eat 4,700 cookies? Because it would be for me. And so what is the cost of the 4,700? And let's evaluate the entire cost of like the whole chain that you end up on, rather than that one little bite that you're now gaming yourself to eat. Absolutely. Calculate the real cost.
And then the other thing is visual trackers. It, especially for a short period of time, I think it helps. Like you're like, oh, okay, I did exactly what I wanted to do this day. I'm going to have a little sticker. I'll put it up. It'll tell me, and I've done it in different ways, obviously. Up here, those weren't exactly visual trackers, but I mean, it is a visual tracker. It wasn't for the same exact thing, all those things. Each one of those was either a mile or an equivalent to a mile. But like I'd have these and I would stick them on there. But like we have the 100-day tracker, you could say every day I'm going to be asleep by this time, or every day I'm going to have only one meal. And then every day you do it, you stick your sticker up there. And I think, Teresa, you did something like that, this many days since an accident, kind of a tracking. I liked that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to make a tracker for myself, some kind of daily thing.
Yeah.
And it will be very aggressive and I'm going to just see where it leads me. Because what I don't know in my case is, are certain things going to end up being too much given my kind of, I have some restrictions, but like, I won't know until I try, and I'm going to try. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm going to use a visual tracker. Brenda,
when I first started, this was so important. I wrote down everything I put in my mouth. It is so easy to just mindlessly eat when you're used to doing that.
Yeah.
But I would not game myself. If I put something in my mouth, I've got all my records from back then. If I put 2 M&Ms in my mouth, I wrote down 2 M&Ms. And I got my window perfectly at 1 hour. But getting those little, it's like, oh, this isn't going to hurt anything. This is just a little piece of cheese. It's keto. It's good. But when you look at it over a time period, you see, well, that's where I'm having difficulties. And so I started, but I didn't game myself. And then I got trackers. See, I keep track of my fasting window.
Right.
And so I need visuals.
It helps.
Much. But also I write everything down. in actual putting pen to paper kind of thing. And then I've also got my tablet, which is so old that it's only my notebook now because it doesn't update anymore. It's from 2009. So, but I can go back and I can look at what I ate every single day from 2020, September 4th to, I kept up with it. And so I can see when I was having difficulties or when I cheated, and then I had, right afterwards, I had problems with my arthritis, or I had, walking issues with my hips. And so I got correlations in actual written affirmations to why things were happening to me to make me not want to do it again. But then it's easy you've got a 1 hour window, put your 1 hour window in there, start and stop your window, and just know that you're not, when it's green and these colors, you're not going to be eating. So look at your phone and go, oh, this is not my eating hour. I can't put anything in my mouth.
Yeah.
Well, and it's all that absent-minded eating that just adds up in a powerful way. And I mean, that's what Tina said here. It adds up to over 1,000 calories after 1 week. I think it adds up to a lot more in a lot of cases. And anyone who's struggling, but also wondering, do I want to do intermittent fasting? I think a food journal would be really a great way to do it. Like, be honest with yourself. Like, this is what I typically eat, and see what it looks like. And then imagine if you were just eating in 1 or 2 hours, how much of that like mindless grazing would just get cut right off. And then also like the evening eating that typically leads to drinking and whatever else. And if you just could cut off all of your evening snacking, what would that do? Like, add that up over a month and see what the difference. It's shocking, frankly. Yeah. Do you have a tip for us, Georgia?
The only thing I'd say is, and this is something you taught us when I first started, set your intentions the night before. If you set it the night before, you have that physically written down, that is a way for you to hold yourself accountable to what you're doing.
Yeah. And so my reasoning with that, so I have like the night before rule, and that is, so in losing all the weight, every evening I would kind of agree for myself with what I would be eating the next day. And it wasn't like down to the, I'd have boiled egg on my salad. It wasn't that level. It was more like I would eat in the framework and have kind of a general idea about what I was going to eat. The reason I did that is I felt like I needed the flexibility of like, what if I'm going to a wedding and I want to eat something different? That's fine. Make the decision the night before and make a rule about your wedding eating the night before. And maybe it won't be like the formulaic way that I typically eat, but I would still I would have put boundaries on it. Like I did. I went in my rapid weight loss phase. I went through Thanksgiving and Christmas, and Christmas, I actually stayed completely doing what I was doing. But the Thanksgiving, we went out to a buffet with a big like spread, and Anna knows all about it. But and in that case, I promised my rule was eat whatever, but eat low carb things. And so I had a rule about the carbs. Now I still overate on my calories, but just having a rule kept me from really going crazy. And I feel like it was like important for discipline, but it allowed me some flexibility. And so the night before rule lets you have that life flexibility without the momentary problem. What's the word? Again, my vocabulary. When you face the thing,
Yeah. Less decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. Having that temptation of like, oh, there it is. There's the spread. And should I eat it? Well, no, because I made my rule last night and I'm not going to do it. So it like really cuts off all of those like momentary temptations. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean. You all know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, resolve, and kind of like your resolve, or your decisions. Like you've already made your decision, so you just need to keep referring to that decision. No, I already decided I'm not going to do that. It's not like, you're not having to think about it and reason with each single one.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You're losing weight, you're like moving and grooving, and the night before you think like, you know what? If I come up against a spread of Christmas cookies in the workroom, am I going to have one? The night before, and you really think through it, are you really going to, you're going to say, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so then you face them. I already made my decision.
Yeah. You don't
That
have
was
to
it.
make it again. You're done.
Now
Yeah.
you might say it might be different. Like, you know what? I
Mhm.
know there's always this party and then there's that special cookie, whatever it is. And then you think through it and you say, you know what? But I'm going to have one. And the way I'm going to make sure I don't have two is maybe you have a whole system and you know that I'm going to go full. I'm going to just have the one. I'm going to have a bunch of coffee with it, whatever it might be, like that you might like build a moat around that one cookie and which could work. I think it's easier just not to eat it, but you could build a moat around it so it doesn't become 700 cookies.
Right.
And then maybe that's a complete success.
Right.
Maybe you end up eating two, in which case next time you reflect on why did I eat two instead of one? And then you try to eat one. Again, I think it's easier to eat zero. But anyway, it's the night before. The night
Right.
before you're more rational and you're not just guided by the sugar in your mouth.
Yeah, for sure.
That accountability means something. And I mean, if anybody has written stuff down that you're going to do, and you go back and you go like, I didn't do that. You know, it's like, it's a check and balances for yourself. You know, you're helping yourself. You're holding yourself accountable. Nobody else. It's for you.
Yep. I've got my whole journal here. So writing all these things down, I write a lot of data stuff, you know, all kinds of stuff. So you guys should too, and write down what you're about to do and let's meet up next week. Like I think everyone should get strict this week. All right, Emily. So yeah, get strict and really, you know, and work on this and strict in whatever way you need, you know, so whatever that is for whatever you're working on right now. So, all right, Emily.
Right.
Okay, cool. And we'll report back on how we're going because, and we're out of time, but I have a unique circumstance. And so some of you guys might too. Think about it this way. My whole crew is, so part of them are leaving Thursday. All of them will be gone by Saturday midday. And so that is a time when, talk about a clean slate, and I'll be here by myself, which by the way, could be great and it could be terrible. You know what I mean? Like you got to plan in advance. And so I'm already looking at like, is there stuff in the cupboards? Are they leaving things? Because they'll have things. And if those things are here and I know they're not eating them, but maybe I will or whatever else. No. Gone. Everything's gone.
Yeah.
And making some things like that. And then because then when the decks are clear, I'm in it and I'm doing it. So for me, that's a really nice, clear start time. And so that's what and super strict, clear the cupboard, clear everything, do it, do all the things I need to do. And start really hitting the cardio extra hard.
Yeah.
That
can make a world of difference. I'm seeing more and more research about just exercising makes a big difference in our health. If we can do it.
Yeah. And I can't, so I can do it.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah. Awesome.
So I just, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Okay.
And now chill skills.
In 1 minute. Well, you all take a bio break and then.
I'll be there in a couple of minutes, everybody.
And you can find the link. So Deep Den members would look in the water cooler at the pin post at the top. There's always a link, a Zoom link that takes you into the Zoom area and you can go and rock and roll the chill skills. Rock and roll is the wrong word for this, right?
Well, and that's the other thing I was going to say. I wrote it here real quick. Cortisol, it's important. Like we're always like, oh, we got to keep cortisol down. It's not that. It's that we can't keep it up at a high level all the time. So we go for it. We do all the things we need to do. We get fired up and then we bring it down. And we need to learn how to get it up, bring it down. That's important. So,
absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, you guys. Great seeing you guys. And I look forward to everyone's report next week. Okay. Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.